Okay, well, hi everyone, thanks for coming. For those who don't know me, I'm Jonathan Wang, and this semester I did an independent study with Dr. Makra involving pitch-to-color translation. So that's what we'll talk about today. So I'm going to talk a little bit about my background, like who I am and why this interests me, and also how I got to do this independent study. I'll go through some demos and then just tell you what I thought about the whole semester. And also I'm going to tell you about what I wish I did, and then maybe what I could or what I might do later. So who am I? This is me when I was little, but right now I'm a senior mechanical engineering major with a music minor, and ever since I was little I loved music. So I used to sing in church when I was really little. I played piano for 5 years and up until I was 9. My mom told me that I used to sing in my sleep, and I had no idea. But and I loved the piano. It was really hard for me because I would have to play these pieces where you guys want to come in? I would play the pieces, but my feet couldn't reach the pedals and my fingers couldn't reach the octaves, and it's like, oh, this is so hard. But I grew up with a musical background and I love music. And lastly, I'm a kid. I'm really curious about everything, and I think that's what makes kids so great, is that they really want to learn about everything and discover all there is to know. So how I did the independent study. Originally, I wanted to take audio signal processing with Dr. Makra, and it worked out in my schedule just fine. And then School of Engineering canceled one of my classes, and I had to take the other section, which conflicted with it. So I went and talked to my dean, and he encouraged me to do an independent study, and Dr. Makra also encouraged me to do the same. So with their support, I sort of ventured into there. So that's really how I got the idea to do it. So last spring, I was thinking about applying to grad schools and what I would study. And I wanted to do acoustic engineering, so that sort of was my focus at the beginning when I decided to do the independent study. So I took controls last spring, which was really interesting for me because we talked about electrical circuits, but also mechanical circuits, and I really saw the relationship between the two and how systems could be modeled using these same building blocks with like resistances and dampers, and sort of like the analogies between certain mechanical and electrical components and how they regulate systems. So I had a really great interest about how things are connected and really like analogies between different types of things. And that spring was also my sister's graduation from RISD, so I went to go see her, and we went to the graduate thesis exposition where I saw this one piece where they took different pictures and they just scanned it, and then based on the colors it would output a certain frequency. This is one of the pictures. So that got me thinking, what are the relationships between sound and color? And I was looking through my notebook last night, and this is one of the quotes I wrote down. It's that psychology is the bridge between art and science. And I really still believe that now. And I'm going to talk about it a little later. But so that was at the beginning of the summer. And over the summer, I did an internship at Sikorsky, which is, they make helicopters. But I had one of the tech fellow of acoustics. I talked to him about what I wanted to do and what I wanted to study. And he really, I was in between a few different projects. One of them was like analyzing voice and trying to fit different signal patterns to like voice problems to try to make it more, like a self-trainer sort of thing. And then the other project is the one I actually went with, which which is just translating sound to color and exploring the different analogies between them. But he really encouraged me to follow, what I'm really interested in, instead of, oh, you're an engineer, you should be more practical and, do what you might make money from. So that was pretty encouraging. And so I did some preliminary research, and so some background about sound and light. They're both modeled by waves, or light can also be modeled by particles, and it has different particle qualities, but I really wanted to explore the wave properties. So the audible spectrum for human hearing is between 20 hertz and 20,000 hertz, which spans 10 octaves. But the visible spectrum goes from 400 terahertz to 800 terahertz, which only spans one octave. So in music, when you have an octave, like one C and the next C, it doubles in frequency. So the visible spectrum only has this one doubling, or 400 to 800. So I thought that was pretty interesting, that it would fit so well into one octave. So also the colors and notes can be represented by wheels, and they're often done so. So on the left, there's the color wheel, and on the right, there's a picture of the circle of fifths. And I thought it was also really interesting how the number of colors in the color wheel was the same as the number of keys in the circle of fifths. So the different wave properties I wanted to explore were frequency. So in color, that's what color, the hue, and in waves, or in sound, that's the different pitches. And the saturation and volume are based on the intensity. So the very first program I sort of made, I'm just going to show it to you really quick. It basically takes a keyboard and with a MIDI output, and I did a basic color translation or a pitch translation into color. So let's see if I can just put this to it. So a little bit of background about how this is Max MSP, and this element, the swatch, basically it takes an input, and there's an X coordinate, a Y coordinate, and a saturation value. So I took the X coordinate and made it related to this. So the X coordinate is related to the color. And I just go up and down. You can see the little cursor on the bottom, go left and right. And this here is the gain slider, which I related to the intensity. So you can see the cursor go up and down. And I made it max out at halfway, which is fully saturated. So this was just sort of so I could see basic pitches and colors and how they were related. But I definitely wanted to study it a little bit more. So one of the other properties I wanted to explore were the timbre. So I think in color that would be analogous to like a matte or glossy finish, or sort of like how there are different ways you can see the same color. And in sound, it's made up of different sinusoidal waves, where you have a fundamental frequency, which is like your main note, but it also has overtones and undertones, which sort of shape the sound. So I made this other little program. And what it does is it breaks up your sound input into the fundamental and its successive overtone frequencies. And right. So I'm going to do a little demonstration with harmonics, overtone singing. can get it to work later. But basically, I have the fundamental tone in the middle, and that's represented by its color, and there are several rings around it and each one represents a different harmonic frequency. So that way you can visualize sort of how different sounds of the same note can be displayed differently. So this is some of the preliminary research I did over the summer, where there are different color mappings. Scriabin in Prometheus, the Poem of Fire, in 1910 had this color mapping on the top, and he also had different visual effects like lightning, which weren't really possible during his time. And then recently they sort of recreated what they thought he wanted at Yale. The Rosicrucian order is the second one, and that's based on frequency, just like my color mapping, but they use just intonation as opposed to the Western equal temperament, which basically means that the note frequencies are based off of whatever key they're in, but for in all intents and purposes, they sound pretty much the same. So yeah, the mapping that I have is actually very similar to the Rosicrucian order. But also Charles Fourier in 1846 mapped different notes to different metals and colors. So I thought that was pretty interesting. Also, one pretty, I guess, in a lot of classical music, they use this sort of affective key characteristics, where sonatas and concertos are all written in different keys, and they represent different emotions. So here are a few. C major is completely pure, so it's like a lot of children's songs are written in C major. It represents innocence, simplicity, naivety. D major is the key of triumph, so a lot of like praise songs. F major is deep depression. B major is wild passions, and B minor is the key of patience. So I wanted to look at a lot of these and see if I could find a similar response with just like recreating these keys. So I wrote down C major is the first one, so I'm just going to sort of recreate these in their basic chords. So C major. And I wanted to see if sort of these different colors would evoke the same emotion as the affective emotions that were described before. So the C major, I don't really know if I feel like a child or simplistic from these colors, but I just wanted to, maybe take a look. So D major, we have D major is the key of triumph. So and I'll just do one more, F minor, which is deep depression. So so I want to take a look at some of these and sort of see if I could get the same emotion from them. And to a certain point, yeah.
Was that the Rosicrucian mapping that you
Yes.
just showed? Okay.
Yeah, I just wanted to see if I would sort of get the same response. And I didn't do any actual, I guess, like effective computing, but I think later on I would just to like see how your biological functions react to different chords and colors. This is sort of the main program that I made this summer, or not this summer, this semester. We're going to do a little demo. Ready?
Yes.
So, what? Hopefully this will work. Me and Nicole are going to sing Barton Hollow, and okay, so it has two scrollers. Let me do this first.
You're competing with this. No.
Okay. Just make sure it works. So that scroll is going to be the background music, and then me and Nicole are going to sing over it, and then you can sort of see our different sounds and our colors. So
Great.
let me just make sure that these work. Great. I'm going to start that over.
In the river, can't no preacher man save my soul. Did that full moon cross my head? Oh, that of my tongue regret. Underneath the water. Please forgive me, Father.
Miles and miles in my bare feet, still can't lay me down to sleep. If I die before I wake, I know the Lord my soul will take.
I'm a dead man walking. I'm a dead man walking.
Keep
Running, running, running for miles. Keep walking, running, running for miles. Keep walking, running, running for miles. Whoa. Going back to Barton Hollow, devil gonna follow me where I go. Won't do me no good washing in the river. Can't no preacher man save my soul.
top, you see me, I'm on the bottom and Nicole's on the top. And the height of each bar that I'm singing is based on the amplitude. So when I sing louder, it rises up. You can also see that in the bottom scroll where in the end it fades out and it sort of, fades out. So that was pretty much the compilation of everything I did. And so things I liked for this semester were meeting with Dr. Knocker every week, and sometimes we'd get coffee and talk about grad school and talk about how my project's coming along. That was always a treat for me. And I especially liked all the opportunities that Dr. Knocker gave to me. So we got to go to MIT for reconstructing Beethoven's improvisations, which was a celebration of Marvin Minsky, who's the father of AI, and that's moved in there. So that was especially exciting for me, and I got to go with Megan too. I definitely liked this semester where I got to be more independent and sort of take my project where I thought I wanted to take it. And working in Max was definitely new and exciting for me because I had to learn how to use the program and navigate through it. And learning the ins and outs of it I thought was really fun. Things I definitely wish I had more time this semester to work on my project, but I was busy with my other projects and classes and stuff. And I told you that in the beginning I wanted to study acoustics, and I didn't get to do too much of that, but Dr. Knocker's specialty is in music technology, and I thought I could probably get the most of it by doing something that's related. So that's what I thought about this semester, and some of the functions I wish I did or included was location. So I wanted to have different speakers and it would detect different voices and where they were in the room and sort of like follow them around, which I didn't get to do. The mapping I did was just based on that one swatch element, and it wasn't specifically like, oh, this note is this color. So the translation was more or less approximate, but for the purposes of the program, I think it was fine. I also wanted to explore if I matched different colors to different keys or chords instead of just one note. So like chord progressions and how those colors would sort of represent emotions. Also, I talked about polyphony, where the program would pick up different voices. So these are all there that I wish were in the program, and maybe if I can add them later if I have time. I definitely want to study the timbre a little bit more. I'll try to get that working after this. So maybe studying how like a note from a piano would look different than a note from a saxophone or a voice, and maybe do a more quantitative study of how people react to combination of colors and sounds to sort of see how they're related, and maybe explore other mappings as well. So that's it for, yeah. I'm going to try to get this working, and then I'll open the floor for questions.
Your overtone singing demo?
Yes.
While you're getting that ready, maybe we could give Jonathan some applause. May I speak while you get that feedback? I just want to say it's been a real pleasure to work with Jonathan. I'm so thrilled that so many of you were able to see his project, because I really think he took these ideas very far. And I don't presume that any of you can stay long enough to ask questions, but I'm sure you may have some. And one of the most impressive things I saw him do this semester is upcoming, so I hope he can get it working to demo it, because there aren't too many people in the world who can sing overtones with control.
Okay.
and he's one of them, so I think it'll be a treat.
Great. I think we're so right, like a normal voice would be just like a fundamental with a mix of overtones. So you can sort of see the fundamental in the middle and like different colors on the outside. But if you focus in on different harmonics, you can, or I guess this program will change, I guess like size based on which harmonic it is. So hopefully it'll work.
Wow.
Yeah, sure, okay, so I'm going to try to get one of the lower frequency harmonics. So hopefully it works well. And then if I try to go for like some of the higher harmonics. So that's that. So, if anyone have any questions about anything about me, about the project, about
That's kind of, I'm not even sure if I'm saying this right, but in one of my classes, there was an African tribe, and I think they're called Nimba, but I'm trying to see if that's true, where if you showed them a picture of, say, 10 circles, they're all blue except one's like red. It's not in their like color literacy to recognize that there's a difference with the red one, but they'll see differences like in the blues, but they won't be able to pick out the color that's different. And so I'm wondering is how much of music and how much of color is learned through, I guess, well, some of it's nature, but some of it's, in our own cultural understanding of it. And so are there colors and sounds that we're not actually seeing or hearing that have relationships, or would somehow affect this study?
One of my housemates showed me that article last year. I think they had like a grid of like 9 different blue circles, and one of them I think was green, and they couldn't differentiate.
Exactly.
between
Yeah,
blue
you saw the
and
same
green.
thing I did.
Right.
Then.
Just reiterating for everyone, but I think. I mean, the translation I did was purely based on the wave frequency, so that's definitely one side of it. But the other side is, I guess, like growing up in a Western culture, everyone knows, or everyone here knows, like red, yellow, green, blue. We grew up with 3 primary colors and secondary